teacher is ready. I will go.
Good shape, dude. Random chip thing, so I'm gonna have to go snap on some somewhere. For now, just here.
Oh, done.
Go for it. What's up, man?
I was hoping to get some feedback
Critique?
and
Yeah.
corrections as well, and also some advice as to how to go about doing certain things.
All right. Well, the advice on certain things. Give me a second. Let me give you the feedback first.
Yeah, sure. With that, I'll just take that and then just transfer it onto the Word doc, which I can then insert into my file for
Sure.
week 2.
If you're good at remembering stuff, if you would prefer to take notes, it's definitely not a bad idea. But, all right. So first and foremost, you don't have a ground plane. You need a ground plane in there, and I can already tell you, just looking at it from the initial 3D view, your cloth is going through your ground plane. See?
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah. So you need a ground plane in there. That's going to be all month.
Oh, then I could just take a planer. Yeah, something like that, right? I'm mistaken.
Sure.
Just use that.
And scale it up, and I would probably reduce the geometry in it a bit. Let's go to, like, I don't know, 4. You do 1. I like leaving a little bit of geometry in there, but you see how all that's
whoa,
you
what
see how everything's going through it? Yeah, you need to fix that. So 1. This block out of your cloth here is a little wonky, and you didn't get enough of the overall form in there. Like, you just have what looks like a sphere on the front of it, but this is not a sphere shape. This is like a folded shape. It caves in there, it comes back
That's why I was
out.
going to get some help on that, because I don't exactly...
Have you gone over the video yet?
I actually started to open it up, and I noticed that the quality was a little down. It was pretty blurry. I don't know what happened.
It's because it's of file limitations, and it probably condenses it in half. But I mean, I doubt there's anything that is missing from that video that you won't be able to figure out in 1 second.
Yeah, personally, I was actually thinking about kind of deleting that sphere and maybe starting a little bit over, just to kind of...
What do you do with that?
I think it's the first video. It's either the first or second video, but I know that the demo you gave us was about like a little over 2 hours, probably 2 hours and 4 minutes or 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah, this is it here. Pretty sure. Yes. So, I mean, yes, it is. If I make it giant, I mean, I don't know. To me, that's just fine quality. I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe it could just be on my end. Let me just see something.
I don't know. Either way, the information's in there, so I'm not going through. I showed specifically how to do that exact thing in the video, so you can kind of go over that and mess with that a little bit. I'm not going through it step by step again, but it's in there. But yes, this shape needs to start being worked out. I mean, really, by the end of this week, I'm looking to see a pretty developed form for there.
So the demo should then give me adequate
It'll give you a starting point, but it's not going to be like, this is the exact perfect way you do it. You need to experiment. As an artist, you need to work with it. You need to figure out between different tool sets, different ways of getting there. I'm not here to do for you, so, you know, like when you work at a studio, they're not going to be like, this is the way you do it. They're going to say, all right, do it. And you kind of have to hopefully know I'm here to help a bit. And if you have a very specific question, I can, but just how do I make cloth? That's a lot more detailed thing, and it's in the current video that's playing. But after you go through that, if you have issues, let me know. Okay. Proportionally, make sure this fits into there. For the most part, that looks good.
That was the first thing I did when I actually created it, to see if it could actually slide in.
Okay. The shapes of your arms here are off. I mean, I don't know. I can just do this to show you.
I was also kind of hoping to get some assistance on that as well, because I know that the shapes aren't even that good to look at too, because they look very much like tubes.
Yes, they do. How did you make them?
I used the cylinder.
Okay. Did you extrude along a path? Did you...
I just kind of, sort of
shaped it? Okay, well, I would extrude along a path. I would draw a curve that matches this, and then I would draw out a profile curve that matches that shape. Your profile curve here, if you look at, do you have more reference for your lantern?
Yeah.
Where? Here?
Inside there. I've got a couple of references, probably 2 or 3 references.
Okay.
I don't have any exact blueprints or anything.
You don't need blueprints, you just need a good angle of the handles, which I can't find in here. Let me double check it.
I might have to go online and get some.
You're going to have to go online and get more reference for the handles, but I can tell you that those handles are squared off. Basically, if you look at it, there might be a little bit of curvature in here, but basically you've got a point here, a point here, a point here, a point here. So it's basically, if I were to draw it, this is the profile curve that you're extruding along, and then you have basically like a diamond shape here. Say your diamond shape would be here, diamond shape here, and basically this guy's coming down, that guy's coming down and meeting over that side, this guy's on this side, there, and then your bottom one will be inside.
Or how you square it.
You are correct. You draw a curve that matches the handle, whereas right now, you didn't match the handle. You can see your top's close, but your angle, I'll show you right here. This is too steep. This needs to, or it's not steep enough. Yours is kind of out that way. It needs to be turned that way a bit. Here's where your big problem is. So you need to get that curve down in there, right? And then for this week, it's going to be super important that you're actually, and it's up to you how you want to do this. You can model it all out of one piece of geo, or you can have the handles be separate, but you're going to have to make these little flushed areas here where it sits flush with the base. Now, what else is going on here? You're missing a handle. Well, you're not missing it, it's just not, it's floating magically. This here attaches to these guys with 2 little loops.
Oh, that's where they go?
Yeah. Hold on. Where is your reference folder again?
Oh, it's on my desktop. In that folder. With the OT, this one.
I mean, I've seen worse desktops. Okay. That's not a good one. Here you go. That's not a good one either because it's different. You need to find a lantern that more accurately represents the one that you have. Because you see how these are going into the side?
Closer.
It's close. No. This and this are the same one. And they don't match the one that you have. I can tell you from doing research this month, it is a Gremlin lantern. But you see how these guys are sticking out here and that other one didn't have that? And if I look up, and we might have to look up an antique one, but what you'll start to see is the loops go into here. Or that's a more accurate version of it.
I see now.
See that right there?
Yep.
So I'm going to leave this page up so that you have a lot of stuff to look at, but this is basically your lantern right here, for the most part. There's different holes on this one, so you want to find the one that's closer to yours, which is this one. Okay. I can tell you there's another shot of it somewhere. You can even look up like antique Gremlin lantern or look up large images for a Gremlin lantern.
Okay. There you go.
There's one that's closer, but it's a smaller image. I'm leaving that over there. So,
cool.
You need to fix up that.
Yeah.
You need to fix up these guys here.
Fix up what?
These 2 guys here. They go into the metal down in here. They don't actually loop all the way around like that onto themselves.
Doing that,
you have to you can probably work with what you have here, even though I wouldn't work with these because your edge flow is all wonky and out of whack. This is where extruding along a curve is a good idea. But again, you need to look up more reference for this because what you'll see when you do...
So you recommend just kind of using, what's that line, and then just kind of using that to make my shape, essentially?
A curve, yeah, then extruding along it. But what you'll see in a lot of these, for example here, do you see how the metal on this ends right there?
Somewhat.
It's right there. It angles around it. These are the 2 loops, and they start down here, come up, and then angle around. So that's what you need to do. You basically have to have a curve that comes from here, up, and around. and angles to the other side. You can do that. You can draw it on your geometry if you want. If you just do modify, make live, and you go to create curve, CV curve tool.
Okay.
And if I wanted it to come from down here, around, I can draw it on there. And then once I'm happy with it, and I come all the way around back here, and it's going to look like a mess. I can see that it wraps around it. I mean, I would have spent more time on it, but that would be how you do that.
And then I just basically take the top of this cylinder and just
extrude along it. You got it. You're missing. You're missing this guy right here. It's a little loop with a knob that goes back there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm probably have to find some more reference for that.
You need to make sure that for this week that this is attached to the same piece of geometry that is.
To extrude from the...
You're also going to need to get better reference for the shape.
Yeah.
You also need to figure out what
that other metal part.
This metal here is, and it comes across on this side as well. And you need to figure out.
I kind of saw that.
You need to figure out what it attaches to. Again, there you can see it a little bit better there. You need to get more reference.
I'm probably going to get like
a lot of images. Never enough reference. You didn't model the oil in this. You need to make this transparent.
How do I go about doing that? I don't know how to do that.
You can take the faces. I mean, it's up to you. You can just make another cylinder and make it in there. Does this have thickness on it? You need to have thickness on this because it's glass. You have thickness on the top. Well, I don't know if you have thickness on it, but...
So I actually need to make the lantern glass see-through too?
Yes, that's correct, and the interior of it.
How do I go about doing that then?
Did you go through shading and lighting?
I mean, I know how to make the objects, you know... I don't know how I'm going to make them see through in the scene, because when I go to do that...
Okay. You go to your hypershade. Do you know how to get to your hypershade? Little circle dude right here.
Yeah.
And then you make a...
Lambert?
Fong Lambert blend. It just needs to be a Maya material. I'm going to go with a blend. And I'm going to assign that to this guy. See, it's a little shinier. Assign it to this guy. And then in my blend settings, I just need to bring my transparency down. Ta-da. Transparent. But you need to make sure they have thickness. And then for the oil on the inside, what you can do is you can grab the faces here, edit mesh, duplicate face, and then just bring them in based on normal direction, which will be this blue one, a little bit.
Okay.
And then you just need to cap off the top of it.
And that's how you get your oil?
That's how I would do it.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're going to have to do bevels and stuff on it and everything, just like you're going to have to for the bottle.
Oh.
Geometry here is messy. For the block out, that's okay. For next week, this needs to be cleaned up.
How do I go about doing that then? Will I have to probably restart it or so? Because,
I mean, there's a million ways to clean up edge flow, but again, you're asking me a question like, how do I clean up edge flow? That is a very large subject matter, and it's a subject matter that you guys have already gone over. I'm willing to show you a little bit about what I would do.
I would never heard.
Right, but you have to at some point be doing independent research to figure these things out. For example, why do you have these two triangles here?
Well, it was very blockish, so I started to bevel it to make it
it's not
curved, and to avoid endgons, I started to just go in there with the multi-cut and stuff and start to connect.
Right, but why? Let me explain something. Ready? So let's talk about edge flow here a little bit. You have random triangles and stuff in here. That's its own thing, but you have basically an edge loop running here, right? Just to show you really quick. Control. You see that edge loop on the outside?
Yeah.
And then you theoretically kind of have an edge loop on the inside, but you have a triangle here and a triangle here that's cutting it off. But you have this sort of loop that runs around on the inside, right? So my question is, why does this loop open up and close back in here? This little double triangle. Why is that there? You made it, so I'm asking you why.
Oh no, I started to close up spots because it was endgon, so I didn't want to.
Fine, but instead of that, why not just delete those two? And I just removed two triangles. Now it's two quads, and nothing about your shape changed at all.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Right. So if you, from now on, if you see two triangles next to each other like that, no, you can. I could delete out these guys, or if I wanted, I could have come in here and not that, but I can collapse those edges on themselves. Same effect. It looks a little different. But in that, I was able to do that. You're probably going to need more geo in here for that hole. How did you make this hole?
I just went in with the multi-cut.
And just cut a hole into it? You shouldn't do that.
And just delete the faces.
Yeah, you should probably just rebuild this. Use the circularize tool in the future.
I've never worked with that or heard of that.
Are you in 2018? Edit mesh, circularize.
So what does that do? Allow you to make circles on surfaces?
Exactly. 1, 2, 3. Let's say it was these guys. Edit mesh, circularize. Turns it into a circle. Let's say I wanted to do it with 4 of these. Turns them into a circle.
How would you make it so the circle doesn't kind of like have stopping points, but it kind of goes around smooth? How would you go about doing it?
You have to have enough geometry in the outside of the circle as well. And if you find that you don't have enough geometry, so like... So, let's say... Let's do it this way. Let's say I grab 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why that's giving me such problems. And I did a mesh, edit mesh, circularize, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why it's giving me problems. 1, thank you. So, now, when I did the initial circularize, you have something that comes up called, that allows you to actually turn it. So when I do my initial circularize, there is a twist here, which I can crank until it flows evenly, right?
Oh, all right.
So that can help. But let's say I didn't have enough geometry there for it. What you can then do is, after you circularize, right?
Yeah.
So I twist it. What I can do is I can rebuild the geometry after. Let's say I didn't have enough points in here or something. I can delete these out. If I were to grab this guy, let's say I wanted it to have more density. I smooth it. Mesh smooth, but I have to make sure that, because it's an open thing, why you not do this for me? And yeah, so let's say we do that. Now I have a more appropriate circle, and then I can just grab my edges around it and extrude those out. And then I will definitely have the amount of geometry I need for my circle. And then after I'm done with that, you delete out your center face. And you extrude. I mean, depending on how the object is built, you might have to just extrude that interior edge down. Or you might just take, say, go to object mode, mesh separate, so I can separate those two. Or you might just have to extrude the whole thing so that it has thickness.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So yeah, that's stuff you gotta work on.
Alright, and I don't know if you took notice, but the handle itself, I probably...
Oh, hold on. Yeah, your handle's not facing the right direction slightly.
And it
needs
also needs to
more that
go
way.
through...
It needs to go through here. It's too big. This needs to be thinner. This is too wide. You need to work out your geometry here, because that is way too much geo going up and down it. And more importantly, the geo that you have going up and down it is not rounding out your geometry. It is super flat here. You also have something really wrong.
Yeah,
with
what
your geo
I
here.
did, just kind of to explain what I did, was since I had a cylinder, and I started to kind of make the shape of the cylinder, but then I decided to work with one part of the face, and I deleted all the other faces, and on that single face, I just made the 2 holes, and I started to duplicate it around, because I wasn't entirely sure as to how to go about approaching.
That sounds like a good way of making it, except that you didn't line up your edges properly before you did your duplicate around by getting your pivot set up properly and stuff like that, and then merging your geometry.
So
It looks like you randomly duplicated stuff instead of using like duplicate with transform.
so good idea, triple execution.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, if you start off with a cylinder, you make sure that you don't mess with the edges that you're gonna have to duplicate. You did the same thing with this guy as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you need to definitely fix those up. But if I know that this is gonna be my cylinder, you can count out divisions, right? And then say like, or if you know how many of these you have, you can count out how many that's gonna be, right? So if I know I have like, if it were me,
Hey, my reference image, is there a way? Because I know that the metal obviously kind of goes through the glass.
I can't tell, so get more reference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's say 12. So you got 24. So when I create my cylinder, 24. And then you don't mess, when you're doing this, you don't mess with anything that has to do with the sides here. In fact, if you want extra geometry, then you set this up to 48.
Oh, wow.
And then once you're happy with a sliver of this,
Then I can go ahead and duplicate a particular face. Is that what you're saying? Because me personally, the reason why I kind of did that method was because I thought it would just take me too long to make an individual.
you're not
hole.
making individual holes. You're going to make one. Let's say this is the strip that had the holes on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to select those faces, and really, I'm just going to select all the other ones and delete them, or I can extract them. There's a ton of different ways to do this, but for now, let's just say I'm going to reverse my selection, delete it. Now, because I made the cylinder initially, my pivot's in the right spot, but if I needed to, I could snap my pivot to there. And because I know there's 24 of these around, right? Then I basically just go into Edit, Duplicate Special, and I know I need 23 copies, and I need it rotated in Y, and this is where you take your 360 and you divide it by 24. Ah, 24 is 360.
I'll just take out my phone and do the math.
240. Oh, it's not going to be any number.
Not a math, no. Cool math.
I mean, I could do it, but I'm not going to do it. 60 divided by 4.
Oh, wow.
That's not right. 60 divided by 4. 15. It is a nice even number. So I rotate 15 degrees, and I can just hit Duplicate Special, and there you go. Look at that. They all line up perfectly, right? Even though they're all separate. And then I can just take them all, mesh, combine. Now here's the important part. Keep in mind, those are still separated. So you still have to come through here and do an edit mesh, merge, to make sure to merge those verts so that they don't end up being separated.
So you group them and then merge them.
I combine them, which is different than grouping.
Oh.
I combine them, then I merge my verts, and I delete my history, and then if you've done your holes on one, now you'd have your holes all the way around.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Alright, then let me go ahead and start making those corrections.
Let's go to work.
The sooner the better.
Caden, come on up, man.
My friend, I have gained knowledge. And examples. What happened?
I thought you were saying something.
Yeah, I did. I said I got help, gained knowledge. And I, of course, will share that knowledge by uploading it onto YouTube. So I'm just